right to defend yourself no matter who is attacking you. But let's see why Dr. Phil seems to think otherwise. Please subscribe.
These are Michael's allegations. He says that she attacked with football moves and tackles and punched.
Alright, so 5 seconds in and we already have the audience laughing at a guy who said he's been abused. Are women unable to punch men? Is that a laughable concept or something? Because I'm quite certain that a woman can throw a punch just like a man.
Kicked in the face, had a chair that was swung at him from across the room. His mouth was cut up, bloody nose and scratches on his face, neck, and chest. So you say she has come at you, she has attacked you, and that oftentimes you have done what you have done purely in defense.
Yes, that incident, definitely.
I don't care what she does. If she starts punching you, then you turn around and walk away.
Can you imagine being this stupid? Yeah, because trying to walk away from an abusive encounter usually works just fine, Dr. Phil. They'll usually just leave you alone if you start walking away. Why doesn't everybody think of that?
If she starts following you, then you walk faster. If she starts chasing you, then you outrun her. If you have to, you get behind the door. But you don't ever, never, ever put your hands on a woman in anger, ever.
I don't give a flying if it's the Queen of England coming after me. I'm gonna hit her with the 1-2 combo. If you try to attack me, I'm going to defend myself. I mean, Dr. Phil is literally saying if you say you're a woman, that you have a free pass to abuse anybody you want as long as they're a man, and they can't do shit about it. Once again, who is watching this show?
And somehow or another, you think that's funny somehow? Tell me what's funny about that. You just don't put your hands on a woman in anger. And anybody that does is a chicken coward.
Imagine calling yourself a doctor of psychology, and then when a guy opens up about being in an abusive relationship, you call him a chicken shit coward. Real class act, aren't you, Dr. Phil?
No, you're not done. No, let me tell you.
I'm done.
Okay, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If you want to be done, if you want to walk out of here, then you can walk straight into the LAPD, my friend. Because, and let me tell you something. Because last night in our hotel, as our guest, you decided to trash a hotel room.
Okay, so like I said, everybody in this video sucks, but that doesn't take away from how wrong Dr. Phil is about this.
And in that hotel room, you created vandalism of personal property. And let me tell you what that amounts to, okay? So you want to get all self-righteous with me, buddy boy.
Does anybody else feel like this is extremely staged? First of all, this doesn't even look like a hotel room. There's a baby crib. And how is the glass so perfectly broken? If you smash a glass on a table, it's gonna go everywhere. It's not gonna be neatly organized on a table. And it looks like they just took the shade off of that lamp. And really, the thermostat? This all feels very fake to me. And this is all an account from the woman who's apparently abusing this guy? You're just gonna trust that blindly? What an awful way to handle this situation.
You smashed the thermostat. You smashed the glasses, you tore up the lamp, and every person who maliciously commits any of the following acts with respect to any real or personal property not his or her own, in cases other than those specified by state law, is guilty of vandalism, and that person faces up to a year in prison and a $10,000 fine.
Our anecdote, but the thing about men interacting with men, again, is that it isn't that they respect each other's viewpoints. That's not exactly right. What happens with a man, and I know a lot of men that I would regard as remarkably tough people for one reason or another, and everything you do with them is a form of combat. Like if you want your viewpoint taken seriously, often you have to yell them down, and like they're not going to stop talking unless you start talking over them, you know. And it's not like men are automatically giving respect to other men, because that just doesn't happen. It's that the combat is there and it's expected. And one of the problems, and so this is part of the reason why I think men are bailing out of so much of academia and maybe the academic world in general, and maybe the world in general, is that men actually don't have any idea how to compete with women. Because the problem is that if you unleash yourself completely, then you're an absolute bully. And there's no doubt about that, because if men unleash themselves on other men, that can be pretty goddamn brutal, especially for the men that are really tough. And so that just doesn't happen with women ever. But so you can't unleash yourself completely. If you win, you're a bully. If you lose, well, you're just bloody pathetic. So how the hell are you supposed to play a game like that? You know, so I've worked with lots of women in law firms in Canada, for example, and high achieving women, like really remarkable people, I would say. And they're often nonplussed, I would say, by the attitude of the men in the law firm, because they would like to see everyone pulling together because they're all part of the same team. Whereas the men are like at each other's throats in a cooperative way, because they want the law firm to succeed, but they want to be the person who's at the top of the success hierarchy, right? So, and that doesn't jive well with the more competitive or cooperative ethos that's part and parcel of agreeableness. And so we don't really have any idea how to integrate male and female dominance hierarchies. And
Exactly. That's exactly right. This is why I love this show, Real Housewives, which
Yes.
Gloria Steinem scorns. And just last night, okay, I was watching an episode, all right, where the women were at each other, okay, at a party and all, in recounting. But I said this to you, but you said this to me, and the men got together there and said, well, this is the way they communicate, with each other. And said, men, we men, okay, just will have a fist fight, and 10 minutes later we're going to have a beer at the bar next to each other. And so, and I have observed that my entire
my
life.
daughter used to be really irritated about that, because she like most people was the target of feminine conspiratorial bullying at one. She's no pushover, my daughter, so it wasn't like this was a continual thing or that she didn't know what to do about it, but she had observed these girls conspiring against her and then blackening her name on Facebook, which is part and parcel of the typical female bullying routine, which is often reputation demolition, right? That there's a good literature on that. And then she'd watch what would happen if my brother or my son would have a dispute with his friends, and maybe they were drinking and there was a dispute. They'd have a fight, and then the next day they were friends again. And that's another thing that's strange, is that like men have a way of bringing a conflict to a head and resolving it, right? And that it isn't obvious to me that women have that same, perhaps you might call it a luxury, but it's also the case that men don't know what to do when they get into a conflict with a woman, because what the hell are you supposed to do? Mostly what you're supposed to do is avoid it.